Evening, everybody, and welcome to Grumpy Old Roads. And I'm pretty sure it is going to be grumpy. Hope you guys are doing well. We're going to dissect the crap show that was last night in Portugal. Maybe we'll talk about Brentford. I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Just make sure you've hit the like button. Make sure you've subscribed. Make sure to check out the sponsors. You can get your shirts for 15 quid with OK jerseys. And there's an additional discount now of 15% off with code FFTV15. So the link's there for you in the chat. Let's just jump straight in. So just before we do, actually, sorry, the lovely Carol, to cheer us up a little bit, has renewed her membership. 30 months, I believe it is, with the lovely Carol. So shout out to Carol. I don't know why the message has disappeared, but it was, there it is, there it is. Shout out to you, Carol. Much love to you. All right. Who wants to start?
Bro, it's gonna. I'm just gonna warn the chat. Know it's gonna be a fiery show today, so please bear with us. I think you're gonna have to get your hand over that delete button, bro, today, because I'll start off just very briefly, and then I'll let you guys really delve into the crux of this. But I'm absolutely embarrassed after last night. That was one of the worst performances I've seen, and the guys will mention a few performances that it reminded them of, so I'm gonna let them do that. But I am just sick of this. I'm sick of this guy. Never wanted him here. I'm sorry. The manager has got a hell of a lot of blame for what happened last night. I'm just sick of it. You know, he came in with this false backstory, this about his connections to the club. You know, tried to really stretch it out. He created this group around him with a couple of, you know, former Forest legends. Let's give them their dues. Rowan and Stone, I loved them in the years when I was really getting into watching Forest. You know, they were real heroes of mine. But I had no faith in him coming in. But the style of football would change. That would get any better. And whatever he's tried to do, he's failed miserably. I'm embarrassed after our performance last night. The red card at the end just topped it all off. The shit show from our two captains yesterday at either end of the pitch. Again, embarrassment is the best word I can come up with. But I am sick of this. For me, all the discussion needs to be about today is who do we replace him with? Get him out now. He needs to be gone. I'm done with Dyche. I wouldn't even give him this Brentford game, because win, lose or draw, I don't give a damn, because he's sacrificed our European progression for whatever he thinks is more important. I don't give a damn. Winning against Brentford would not paper over cracks from yesterday. So that's all I've got to say for now, because I will get really, really heated, and I'm actually surprised I didn't use any F-bombs or C-bombs. I had a few lined up. But guys, you jump in. I know Rob wants to speak. Please do go ahead, my friend.
I'm waiting for permission from our glorious leader.
Well, I got nothing left to say until this prick is gone.
I've heard your comments. They're not far off the mark. So you've previously said that you believe that Sean Dyche watches social media and he monitors this kind of thing. So
he does. I spoke to Mike today just to confirm it.
I am going to address my comments, therefore, to him directly. And that is to say that, Sean, last night, your managerial performance was not worthy of the shirt, to use your own words. Have you learned absolutely nothing from what happened at Swansea and at Wrexham, which is that arrogance in a cup competition is always punished? Now, whereas I can understand the team going out of the League Cup in the first round, there's always next year. I can even put up with the team going out of the FA Cup in the third round, because there's always next season. What I will not tolerate is when you have to wait 30 years for a European competition, and the contempt that you've shown for it is unforgivable. It is utterly unforgivable. I looked at that team sheet. My first thought is, why is Morato even playing at all after everything we've been through? I'm now hearing that Murillo was injured. In that case, why the hell did he travel with the team? I saw him in the ground last night. I mean, if he's got a hamstring injury, he could have injured himself climbing up the steps onto the plane, right? So I'm not buying that. Meanwhile, I look at the team. We've got unfit Aina playing on the left. Got Savona on the right, looking clumsy and nervous. And meanwhile, our best and most consistent player is on the bench. We've got a midfield with no bite, no creativity, and we've got no presence whatsoever up front. Okay. And it was clear to everybody watching that the team had no idea what they were doing or how they were meant to attack. Now, I want to know, after watching 30 or 20 minutes of that turgid, unproductive football, where both teams seem to be quite interested in playing for a draw, you sat there and you thought, yeah, this is fine. This is fine. And the one thing that you did is you got the wingers to change sides. Wow. Then you get to half-time, no changes made at half-time. Finally, we get a lucky penalty. Why is Morgan Gibbs-White taking that penalty after Sturm Graz? Everybody knew what was going to happen. He's taken far too many penalties recently. We all know he likes to hit it down to our left, right? And now he's had to keep changing his penalty because he's had to take all the penalties. His run-up was so left-sided, it was fucking obvious where he was going to hit it. And he's taken the same penalty he did against Sturm Graz and got the same outcome. And then, immediately, the famous Dyche discipline collapses and we're watching the fucking Keystone Cops, right? An utter humiliation. That's the biggest humiliation I've experienced since that 5-2 against Stoke, right? Then, why does it take you 14 minutes to bring on any substitutes after that? And when you finally bring on the first team players, they show a complete lack of urgency and a complete lack of discipline. Discipline, which means that Anderson gets sent off for mouthing off the ref. That's on you. Discipline and urgency are your responsibility as head coach. You do not blame the players for that, right? Now, you've made your choice. You've made your prioritization clear. You weren't trying to win that game last night. Well, you better fucking impress us on Sunday, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for people like me to defend you. I am so disappointed. I thought you were going to come into this club and organize the defense, make us effective from set pieces. We can't even defend them. We can't even fucking score a penalty. Okay? So thank you for the results against Liverpool and against Tottenham. But you better buck your fucking ideas up. And as for the people that travel to that game, you owe them a refund.
Including travel. Including travel.
I agree. Obviously, I agree with everything Rob's just said. I feel a bit sorry for Rob, if I'm honest, because it's against a barrage of abuse. Rob sticks to his guns, and he was prepared to give. I wasn't prepared to give Dyche a chance, at all. Like Ez, like Wolfie, Crypto, you never know. He changes from day to day.
Yeah.
But the three of us certainly were very anti-Dyche right from before he actually was appointed. But Rob was prepared to give him a chance, and that's good. You should really be prepared to give somebody a chance. But so for Rob to react like that, I think shows how disappointed he is, and along with the rest of us, we're suffering. When I saw that team sheet last night, I was absolutely flabbergasted. I didn't know what to think of it. Well, I did. My first thought was, you don't give a shit about this cup, do you? And you know why he doesn't? Because he's not a Forest man. He's not wrapped up in the history of our great club.
Nope.
He's a chancer. He just happens to like the area, and it's handy for him to be Forest boss, And he's got to go. He's got to go. I mean, he should have gone a while ago, but he has to go. My fear is that Mr. Marinakis has fallen under the influence of X and YouTube and people saying how funny it would be if Forest had 4 managers in one season. Nobody ever does that, this, that, and the other. He's got to ignore all that. He's got to think, what is best for my club? And this manager is not the best for our club. And I understand. I'm one of the people with Cooper. I used to say, well, who are you going to get to replace him? Because I think that that's important. Of course it is. However, in this circumstance with Dyche, I would rather have Andy Reid, Gary Brazil taken over until the end of the season, because they would not do a worse job. I cannot think of any human being that would do a worse job than Sean Dyche is doing at this club. He's absolutely ruining it for all the Forest fans. The players, they don't want Dyche here. I'm telling you now. They don't want that. Why should Forest players, particularly, we have a lot of good quality, creative players, talented players, technical players. Why would they be any more in favour of Dyche ball than we are? They're having to go out and do it and having to suffer the embarrassment of doing it and listening to the Forest fans booing them. That's not what they want. So they are going to want out as soon as possible. Any quality player we've got is going to want out unless Dyche goes quickly and the club gets back to what it was last season. And I don't just mean by the results. I mean the whole thing. I mean the good feelings that we had about the club. Beginning of this season, before this season started, I was convinced we were going to win this Europa Club. I know that Villa were in it, but I didn't care. I had such confidence. And when we signed the players we signed, I have to say that only increased my confidence. Because I know we all like to have a little go at Edu, but I'll say it again. I don't blame the players. Look at the players. Look at the players that were good last season. They're not good this season. That's not a coincidence. Chelsea are after Douglas Luiz. Chelsea are after Douglas Luiz for their midfield. And we can't, and Dyche doesn't think he's good enough for our midfield. It doesn't make sense. He just doesn't like him. He just doesn't, as simple as that. Dyche doesn't like him. He's not his kind of player. And that's selfish. And that's a betrayal of the club and the fans. And the performance last night was honestly, oh my God, I've seen some bad Forest performances. I honestly cannot think of a worse one. It was pathetic. It was pathetic. Look at McAtee. Everybody has a go at McAtee. He's shit, get him out. No, he isn't. He was a star, absolute star at the England Under-21 World Cup that we won. He played regularly under Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. And he performed well. He was the best player when he went on loan to Sheffield United. This is not a crap player, but my God, he's looking terrible. He is looking terrible. Bakwa. What's he done to Bakwa? That guy, you know me, I always take the Mickey out of foreign leagues, right? But that Braga team last night was the equivalent of a mid-average French team.
Yep.
He was destroying them last season. So it's not the player, is it? We know the player can do it. And it goes on and on and on and on. And I can't see a way out of it. I am now coming around to Rob's point of view that we could actually be in trouble. Why were so many of our and of all the players that he dropped out of our first team last night, one he didn't drop was Morgan Gibbs-White. Why? Why did he keep Morgan Gibbs-White in that team? Tell me, explain to me. Why, of all the players that he left out, did he decide that Morgan Gibbs-White has to play? It's ridiculous. And again, I hate his penalties. He had a really good one a little while ago. And I thought he got over this stupid run-up and the crappy little tapping. He's back to it again. He had a good one where he ran up and he kicked it. And he flew it to the back of the net. Yeah, and I thought, that's the way to take a penalty. He's back to his... God knows what he's thinking. I honestly don't know, because that was pathetic last night. There was no urgency. There was no desire. And I tell you what, I don't ever boo Forest players. Ever. But last night, I was with those fans last night because they could see we were 1-0 down at a vastly inferior side. And they were awful, by the way. Every time they tried to pass the ball, it'd go out of play or go to a
zero shots on target. Zero.
Yeah, no shots on target.
Yep.
Right? And they were pissing about in the 75th minute along the back line. No urgency whatsoever. Nobody making runs. Nobody coming for the ball. They were just static, passing it to each other. And Braga were quite happy with that. So for me, I can't say it's the last straw, because the last straw for me was the day he got appointed. Right? But if it were to be last night, there can't be anybody that still supports this guy and thinks he's the right man for the job. Surely not.
Well,
Crypto. Try and troll you out of this one, mate.
Yeah.
well, no, I was very impressed. I saw.
Yeah, here we go.
I've never seen such passion and composure from Rob. I was highly impressed.
There wasn't much composure there.
It was quite moving speech, I gotta say. Go on.
Yeah, you know, I understand now why you run for prime minister. But look, you guys have kind of said it. It was such a bad game. The thing that annoys me, and the first of all, I'll answer Rob's or Ant's comment about why I flip-flopped. The reason I flip-flopped is because before the Man City game, he had a 50% win record. What he's doing at the moment is he's losing against teams who realistically would be beaten by the likes of Notts County. I mean, it's 100% completely unacceptable. But not only is he losing the matches, it's the way we're losing. It's some of the most boring football I've ever seen in my whole life. Last night we had one corner. That shows we're not attacking. Why all of a sudden is he putting a starting lineup with Ndoye as a false nine? Since when has Ndoye been, frequently scoring goals? If you don't have a striker, and that's another problem of the club, because you should have never ever sold Cali Muendo before getting a striker replacement in. That's a shocking decision. And Cali Muendo, 2 minutes into his new club, what did he do? He scored. Of course he did. He wasn't a bad player. He just wasn't coached properly. And I feel the same way about McAtee. I know I give McAtee some beef, but we know there's a good player in there. He's not being coached properly. And players like Bakwa was one of the highest potential signings we made. I thought he'd be one of the best players in our team. He was dreadful last night. Absolutely dreadful. But why he's fielding a lineup with Ndoye, a striker, I will never know. If you really have to play a false nine, then put Callum Hudson-Odoi up front. At least Callum Hudson-Odoi can score a goal. It was shocking. And then you go through to half-time and everybody can see it. People are complaining on Twitter. The commentators on Sky or BT, whatever it was on, are taking the piss out of us. Yeah. I've got Sheffield United fans texting me, trolling me. I've got Notts County fans texting me. And it's like, don't worry, at half-time he'll bring on Callum Hudson-Odoi, he'll bring on Anderson, he'll bring on Nico Williams, and we'll do what we did in Wrexham, and we'll have a second good half, and we'll score a few goals. And he didn't. He just left it for another 25 minutes before he made any subs. And it's almost like he didn't want to win the game. I mean, it was absolutely shocking. But one thing you guys haven't mentioned, and I'm surprised you haven't, and I don't even know if this has happened in the history of football ever, but last night we got beat by a team who didn't have a shot on goal. We lost the match to a team that didn't have a shot on goal. The reason they won is because Ryan Yates decided that the only chance he was going to get a goal to score this season was to score in his own goal. And that is the most tragic thing I've ever seen in this year. We're 23 days into the year, and I can't imagine there's many more tragic things that are going to happen than that. It's absolutely shocking. There's things going wrong at the moment, and it needs to change quickly. And I say it all the time, and I'm just going to repeat myself again. Why is Morgan Gibbs-White first name on the team sheet every team? It doesn't matter if it's Europe. It doesn't matter if it's Premier League. We don't get to see anybody else in the 10. We never get to see Dominguez have a go in the 10. We never get to see a 3 in midfield and don't have a 10. It's always MGW, MGW, MGW.
McAtee should have been 10 last night. McAtee should have been 10 last night.
Yeah, or McAtee and 10, whatever it may be. But what annoyed me more than missing the penalty is about 5 minutes later, he was one-on-one with the keeper and he skied over the bar.
That was worse than the pen.
At that point, I did actually throw my phone across the room and nearly smashed my TV. And I said at the time, I mean, I've been saying this for years, but just get rid of Morgan Gibbs-White. If somebody comes in 60, 70 mil, just sell him and don't play a 10. I've absolutely had enough. And I don't understand how we've spent 200-300 million in the summer, and our substitutes are woeful. They can't even beat a Farmer League team in the Europa League. Are they that bad? We spent something like £250 million, and we don't even have a good starting, say 19, 20 players. And
Ben, I'll go further. I'll argue that every single one of our summer signings has been subpar. Not a single one of them has been a quality player.
The only one who really.
I'm sorry, I have to go back to the manager for that though, because they're not bad players. They've proven in their careers.
Yeah, they're not being coached properly. I mean, I think Hutchinson looked quite good in the first few games.
Yeah, I wouldn't say
he dried up. Have you noticed he's dried up? The more Dyche has got his claws into him. Hutchinson's dried up.
They're being coached to play this game where it's infuriating. The ball goes back to the keeper. The keeper kicks it long. The only person who can head it in the team is Jesus. Well, Jesus is injured, so no one's bringing the ball down. And then when we do eventually go on the attack, it's just cross after cross, or the ball goes sideways into the middle and ends up back at the keeper. It's negative. It's negative tactics. It's a negative way of playing. We've got something like the 13th most expensive squad in the whole world of football, and we're playing this ultra low block, defense negative tactics. I can't stand it. And when people say the question, oh, who would you bring in as manager? Anybody, literally anybody. I mean, after that speech from Rob, I'd even be as far as to go, maybe Rob. I'm like 50-50 on it now. But you could bring in Gary Brazil. You could get a manager who's just been sacked and signed until the end of summer. You could get back Stephen Reed. There's loads of people you could get in. You could get a temporary manager till the end of the season in the way that Man United have. Because at the moment, I think this is going to start going downhill. We've been doing okay against the big teams. Well, next team's Brentford. That's not a big team. But Brentford, I think, will absolutely batter us. Because Brentford have only lost one at home. And the way we're playing at the moment is so negative. And it's just... I nearly turned it off last night. I've never done that before, but I genuinely nearly turned it off and just watched something else because it was so bad. It's one of the worst games I've seen. And usually in a season you will say, once or twice, that's one of the worst games I've seen. This season, probably 5 or 6 games, genuinely some of the worst football I've seen in 25 years of supporting Forest. It's that bad. It is that bad. We're not even trying to win the game. We're not shooting. We're not getting forward. We don't even have a striker because the club is so inept that they sold our striker and didn't bring one in time. And then it goes back to the old saying of Lemmy saying, well, strikers can't get injured. Well, guess what? Strikers can get injured. So I'm still hung up on that Lemmy, by the way.
I would just like to shout out Einer's shot that hit the ball. That was some shot.
It was.
It didn't deserve to be in that game, did it?
Didn't hit the target.
The only other point I was going to make.
Yeah, it was a good shot though.
The only other point I was going to make in the intro bit was why is Braga's keeper? Why does he look so much better than any of our backup keepers? I mean, he was pretty class last night, that Braga keeper. Why? What? Who have we signed?
Shall I tell you why? Shall I tell you why, Ben? It's an easy answer.
Keeper looks better than our backup keepers.
No. You guys are thinking this too deeply. Look at the attack he's facing. The attack he's facing are rolling in P rollers, man.
I know,
the shot probably wouldn't have crossed the line by this time now.
There's like a triple save from Endoy. But yeah, no, I mean, yeah, it's got to change. The thing is, even if it changes against Brentford, it's almost like swings and roundabouts. You play with good one match, then it goes back to crap, and there's no consistency. I just think you've got to get rid of Sean Dyche, and I can't stand it. I was just going to say, I can't stand the way, like you guys have said, that he plays on this. I used to play for Forest when I was growing up, and
we didn't.
No, he didn't. He didn't. Rob
Liverpool fan, isn't he? He's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, he's a Liverpool fan.
I tell you what, me, Rob, and Ant have been on that pitch as many times as Dyche. Well, we haven't, but we're stood in the same place. We could do a better job than what Dyche is doing at the moment. So, congratulations to Ryan Yates for scoring a goal, probably the only goal you'll score for Forest for the rest of your career. And I'd say Dyche out.
I want to talk about Ryan Yates. Let me just. There's a lot of super chats. I just want to catch up with those. There's over 700 in here. Shout out to you guys. Make sure you've liked. We're at 139 likes. Don't give me a Dyche low block style on the likes, guys. Just hit those likes. Make sure you subscribe if you're new as well. Shout out to my boy Andy. Oh, look, there's me, Andy, and Robbie right there. Oh, good times. Forest weren't being shit and losing. But anyway, thank you for the 21 months, Andy. Big up to you. Chappie with the £5 says, evening, Wolfie. As you know, I'm from North Hants, live close to Kettering, and they love him down here. I absolutely hate him.
Kettering Town looking for a new manager by any chance?
I wouldn't wish it upon him. Kettering's nice little kind of industrial area, man. Well, sorry, not Corby is, and you got Kettering next door, which is not all right.
Steel, isn't it? Steel, Corby Steel.
Well,
they were the centre of the steel industry.
Trouser press, isn't it?
Big up to you, Chappie. We will get around to golfing at some point, mate. Matt with the £2. He says Dyche is a bigger fraud than Ange. Facts, as are the players.
I think the players are trying to get Matt. I think the players are trying to get him out. I really do.
Look, I've seen it on so many occasions. There's beef behind the scenes, man. There's beef behind the scenes from what I've been told, and this predates. This is like the Patreon needs to know all about it. Shout out to you, Matt. Big up to my mate with the 30 months. 30 months. He's been pissing me off today. I can't lie. He's sending me quotes and stuff that's just boiling my blood every time. But I love you, Matt. Thank you for the 30 months. Caden with the 6 months. Shout out to you, Caden. You absolute legends. Andy again with the $4.99. He goes, I hope you're watching, Dyche. From me to you, get out of my club before the protest begins. And all the torches are lit, representing your ginger. Bro, when you start your YouTube channel, we're gonna need to talk about your spelling. But I feel the anger.
You know they always blame it on autocorrect, don't you? They always blame it on autocorrect.
It's a bit like when you say something you shouldn't, and it's autocorrect. This one's interesting for Phil. He goes, Wolfie, why don't you invite Dyche on for an exclusive interview and have an open broadcast? He wouldn't agree, but you could still offer. Sean Dyche, anytime, any place, on screen, in person, in Saeed's car park. I'll bring you a box of tissues, pause.
The thing is, the problem with that is, I honestly, I don't have the slightest interest in what he has to say.
I've got a few questions.
For me, it's all about what he's on the pitch. Anybody can talk all sorts of crap.
Do you know how egotistical he is? If he was watching this, he would accept it. He would.
He wouldn't. Not after that opening.
No, he would, mate. Honestly, his ego knows no end. Yeah. No end. Shout out to you to add Bitty 444 for the 15 months. I wish YouTube would go back to putting people's names on, man. I really do. Anthony with the £2. He goes, why has Greek father not sacked Sean Dyche? Thoughts? I think Ant covered it. I think the club don't want spotlight on them of 4 managers and that narrative. I don't know why 3 managers is less embarrassing than 4 managers. Like, I don't know where this unwritten rule suddenly came in.
And like I said before, who cares what other clubs say? We're Nottingham Forest. We don't need to worry about what other clubs say. We do our own thing,
Exactly.
When has Mr. Marinakis ever cared about what other people think?
From what I know of him, he wouldn't give it down.
I get you, but I can't think of another reason.
The only thing for me, I think he's been going through a lot of things in his personal life with the sad passing of his mother and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying?
That's a big thing. That's not
it's a huge thing, man. So maybe it's that, because he hasn't even been in and around the ground that many times.
No, that's true.
You got to expect there's a lot of personal stuff going on with him there. But
that's you have to respect that, don't you? You have to respect that.
There should be someone there who's in his stead making those decisions. But the decision will end up with him. Yeah, exactly. Big up to you, Jess, with the £2. She goes, both captains should be ashamed, and Dyche, fuck off, she says.
Yeah, that's kind of to the point. Yeah,
beautifully said. It would have been a short podcast, but that's all that needs to be said. Thank you so much. Colton with the 15 months. Shout out to you, bro. And Wazza with the £2. He says, I feel your tears, Ben. Brentford, we may be doomed. We've done okay at Brentford the last 2 times.
We're definitely doomed.
We haven't had this manager the last 2 seasons.
That's true. Jan with the 39 months, 1 month away from the big 4-0. Shout out to you, Jan. And Joker with the 199 says, goes favorite time of the week. Come on, you Reds. I did get a lot of this, by the way, which I wasn't expecting when I was at the Arsenal game. Loads of people came and said, Wolfie, that Grumpy Old Reds podcast, you guys just keep it real and talk and say it as it is. It ain't sterile. It's to the point. So please hit the like button. Make sure you subscribe. Big up to Graham for subscribing. Right. There's one thing I want to add. I want to get your opinions on. Ryan Yates is an absolute disgrace. And I'm just going to say it out as it is. I'm not even talking about his own goal. I'm talking about his interview after the match. That absolutely boiled my blood. What the way he was talking, so nonchalant. He was there just smiling away. And when asked what would you do different? His answer was, what are you gonna do different against Brentford? I'll try not to score an own goal. Like, I don't know if you boys saw it. I'm paraphrasing slightly. It was absolutely horrific. And then you got people saying, oh, well, big up Ryan Yates. He came out, he stepped up, faced the media. How about you face the ball in the right direction, not put in your own net, you idiot?
And facing the media, sorry to interrupt, but facing the media is not what it should be. Facing the media should be you're being drilled with insightful questions that get something out of you, not pandering to the bloody superstar footballers. You know what I mean? It's no big deal now to face the media.
Do you know what?
That's who they need to face.
This really wound me up, and maybe it shouldn't. And sorry, I'm going off topic a bit here, but it follows on from what Ant says. So we've been battered by Braga. Are we now posting catwalk model pictures of what we look like in a suit? I thought they're supposed to be professional footballers. And they're posting, look, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe people disagree with me, but we've just been battered by Braga, and some of the players are putting out pictures of them looking in a nice tuxedo.
Yeah, man, they don't care, bro. Like, suits for the FA Cup final. That's it. It just shows you, like, Ryan is meant to be Mr. Nottingham. And he's coming out with that stinking attitude. He
played well, and we definitely.
And I want to know who the idiots are that have put it in his head that he will ever play for England.
Oh, our media team, mate. Our media team this season have scored so many own goals. It's been, and obviously he has as well. But it's been shocking some of the stuff that we've come out with. It literally has. And we're promoting the wrong mentality within our players. But you're right. The players don't give a shit. But essentially, even if they say they're Forest born and bred, they don't actually give a shit. Neither does
Can you blame them, though, Ed? Can you blame them? Can you blame? I know that we all say they should come out and give everything in every game, and I agree with that wholeheartedly, especially for the money they're on. But at the end of the day, the human beings, and they've been put in a situation. You know, and I think everybody knows. Anybody that's ever worked in an office or worked for a manager or something, if you get on with your manager and he's a good dude, your work will be better. 100%. If you've got somebody that's an arsehole and that, all you want to do is piss about and not do your job. And that's the way these footballers are. I know because of the money, we expect more of them. And as I say, quite rightly so. But at the end of the day, they don't want that guy to be their manager. They don't want to have to listen to that bloody voice every day telling them to run more. You know,
I hear what you're saying, and with the analogy. But I can give you my actual analogy because I've done this. I had a manager I couldn't stand. To that manager, I was an asshole back. Everything just to make their life slightly worse. Yeah, that's how petty I was. But when I had to go and report to the big boss, I was lovely and I was all, on point and saying what I needed to say. So if they don't get on with Dyche, that's a you and a Dyche thing. But when you're reporting to your big boss, which is us fans, don't you dare stand in front of that camera smiling away. He actually said we've progressed under Dyche.
Oh my God.
Who did?
Glad I haven't seen that.
Ryan Yates, man. If you haven't seen this interview, watch it. It's one of the worst interviews I've ever seen. Ever.
Well, progress from Postecoglou is true, but only slightly.
But there is this narrative that some people will say, oh, yeah, but we beat Liverpool, we beat Spurs, and we drew with Arsenal. But look at the teams we lost to.
Yeah.
Freaking embarrassing, man. Braga are comfortably fifth in the Europa League, 16 points. They're nowhere near the top of their league. We beat Portugal quite comfortably, which obviously was a false result there. You can tell. But these teams are comfortable in Europe, and we've been an absolute embarrassment. And he's sacrificed Europe for what? So we might potentially win against Brentford. Winning against Brentford is not going to, like I said, paper over the cracks from yesterday. Yesterday was an embarrassment. He didn't value that tournament enough to pay the best possible players out there. And something Ben already touched on. We sell a striker who is in our Europa League squad and don't replace him. We basically replaced him with CO2. Just with gas, because there's nothing there. We've got no other striker in, whilst we've sold the only backup striker we had in that Europa League squad. It's absolute embarrassment from our recruitment team this season. And I'm sorry, and I don't want to trigger Ant, but certain other people need to go as well. I'm sorry, it's not helped.
Look, as I've told you, I'm not invested in Edu. I just don't think that the amount of blame he gets is proportionate to the situation.
I agree, but to say, like, some of the players haven't performed under this manager, that's absolutely true. I agree. I would not be willing to put my all out there under Dyche. He hasn't got a clue what he wants to do. The best way to beat Nottingham Forest is just give us a ball, because we have got no clue of how to break you down. Just give us the ball and leave it. And just sit back. And expect us to make a mistake, because we will make mistakes and we'll give you a chance. Go on.
There was a comment from Kevin earlier on, Kevin Marriott, I think, earlier on, saying that he's been a Forest fan for over 60 years, and it's the first time he's like giving up hope, and he sent his Europa ticket back. Now, you know what?
That's heartbreaking.
I've spent £50 on the Ferencváros ticket. I'm not sure I want to go. What's the point?
That game is a dead rubber now, because we can't make it to the top 8, and at the same time we can't drop out.
If we were playing scintillating football that you look forward to watching, you'd still go. But you think it's a dead rubber anyway. It's going to be a long drive for me now. It's a night match. We're going to be playing God knows what team, the twat, the prick, the idiot will pick. I did want to feel like he's been effing it and blinding it and get away with it. No,
I did want to just.
I don't know what highlight. I don't know what team to expect. It's almost like I want to say, right, let me know the team. I'll decide whether I want to come or not.
Let me know the manager, and I'll decide whether I want to come.
So I just want to highlight.
I'm going to talk to my brother, and I'm going to ask him, "Are you bothered about going?" Because I don't know as I am, and that's shocking. Because I've not missed football matches at Forest for more years than most of the people watching them were born.
A week now, and but
but I gave up my Arsenal ticket, and I'm thinking of giving this one up as well. What further away?
I want to just acknowledge that we did beat Malmo with that stand-in team. Okay, but two things were different. Firstly, Malmo were in about 23rd place in the Europa League. They were absolutely awful. Okay. And secondly, you're at home in that game.
Rob, sorry to interrupt. They're second bottom now, by the way.
Yeah, right. But neither of those things apply to Braga or to Wrexham, or indeed earlier in the season to Swansea. You don't go away from home to a team that is above you in the league, seeking to overtake them and play anything less than your very strongest lineup. Yeah? And if you are worried about the impact on Sunday's game, you start with your strongest team, you get your noses in front, and then you start to rotate people. And to give him credit, that is one thing that Nuno Espirito Santo understood. You always start your strongest team. You don't just bung on whatever you fancy and think, oh, well, if we need to, we can step it up. No, you never get out. We never got out of first gear in that game. Quite honestly, Braga looked more likely to extend their lead than we did. Yeah. There was no Wrexham-style fight back last night. Not at all. They still didn't know what they were supposed to be doing.
Yeah,
they
but they
don't know how to attack.
There could have been a fight back if he'd made the subs at half time, but he made them in like the.
Or indeed, just after we'd conceded the fucking goal, not wait quarter of an hour. Nothing happened.
The thing that really annoys me is that, and to be fair, it's not just Sean Dyche, but nearly every manager says when they get asked by the media, "Oh, every game is important." Nuno used to say it. He said it's always it's always the next game, but it's clearly not, because if you field a team like that with Ndoye as your number 9, it's clearly not that important to them, and it's like it's almost like they don't really care, or they don't realize what it is to be a fan. Because you could see before the game began, we're going to lose. We're playing a crap team, but we're putting out a crap squad. We're going to lose this. We're not going to get anything out of this match.
It's funny you say that, Chris,
I still think that those players we put out last night should have been capable of beating Braga.
They should have been, but they don't play together.
You're right.
You've hit the nail on the head. If you were trying to lose that game,
you'd field that team.
Yeah. Short of putting John Victor in goal, he took every possible step to lose that game. And that was only because John Victor was fucking injured, or he would have picked him well.
He's not really injured, though, is he? He faked
I am honestly suspicious that last night was, for some reason, allegedly, not in any legally binding way, some kind of deliberate act of sabotage. Because I don't see what else you could have done if you were deliberately setting out to lose that game.
You know what? The only logical thought for that is that we need some revenue for an extra couple of games.
That's what I was about to say.
Literally, that's the
we need the extra game.
Yeah, the only logical thing. But you know what? Who's going to waste their time freaking going out? They're going to go out.
They won't have to pay $100,000 this week in goal bonuses, because they know that none of the players in the club
had to do it all season, mate.
And then Yates scored.
Seriously, I agree.
We didn't accidentally rewrite the.
I think our normal first team would have rolled over Braga in the first half. You imagine Sangare in there and Dominguez in there and Hudson-Odoi and people like this, and Nico Williams. I think Murillo. If he's fit, we don't know, but whatever. I'd rather have Abbott. I'd rather have Abbott there, by the way, than Morata.
Yeah. Morata should never play again.
I think that in the first half, we could have rolled them over, been 2 or 3-0 up quite easily, and then you just bring them all off.
Yeah,
it's simple.
Yep.
Because you're just as likely to get injured chasing a game in the second half as you are controlling the game in the first half, especially when you're playing with inferior players, because you're having to cover for them as well. So it makes no logical sense to do it the way he does it.
Can we just get rid of the excuse that we didn't have a recognised striker? Because have our strikers been scoring recently?
No.
So what fucking difference?
Our recognised striker, Rob, has got 1 goal all season in the league. I know he's been good in UEFA.
Only difference it made having Dan Ndoye up front was that this time, instead of 1 striker against 6 defenders, there was actually nobody there at all.
Yeah. And Ben made an excellent point as well.
A number of times, Savona or somebody like that had the ball on the wing, and he thought, "What am I supposed to do now?" There's nobody. Not only is there nobody in the box, there's nobody near the box.
Yeah. Savona had a few of them, didn't he? Where he looked, there was nobody there,
and that's why I gave him a pass
when he said that we only had 1 corner. Now, in my opinion, the main way you get corners, there are 2 main ways. One is the winger goes on the outside, tries to cross it, gets blocked and goes out. So we obviously weren't doing enough of that. And the other one is shooting and it bounces off a defender and goes out. We obviously weren't doing enough of that. And that tells you all you need to know, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Danny Welbeck, mate, I would love him in outside.
Can I just make a point? And this is the scariest point. It's 2 points within the point. If us 5 layman can sit here, and let's not forget, so this isn't hindsight. I said it in the preview video. Why don't you start your strongest team for 60 minutes, kill the game, and then give them the rest?
Yep.
Okay?
That's only what we did all of last year when we managed to finish 7th in the league.
It's not rocket science. You know what? Again, I'll give you a work analogy. If my boss says to me, "Get your work done quickly and you can leave to go home early," I'm motivated to do it. If the manager sits there and says to the players, right, get me a 2-3 goal lead, I'm gonna hook you off so you guys can rest up.
Yeah,
You're motivated to do it.
To use your analogy, it's like me leaving my homework until the last minute and doing it like straight through the lesson. And then you think,
got 2 weeks. If you've got 2 weeks to do something, you'll do it. You'll still do it. You'll still wait till the last day before you do it.
Exactly. Now, so that's one thing, right? And I hate you too, Double O. The other point is, when I was doing the report on Callum Mwendo going, I said, doesn't matter if you think he's good or crap. What is important is you don't make the same Spurs mistake. Sell Jono, Kudus gets injured the next match. It's stupidity in its finest form to do that. What do Forest do? Oh, let's do the same thing Spurs did. Don't worry, Igor Jesus won't get injured. And the other donkey we've got there,
who do we hold responsible for that? And I've got to say this, and I'm not just flip-flopping or anything like that. I've got to say, I personally would put that down to Edu, because I don't think that Dyche is in the position where he can force a player to go on the first day.
I don't think he even knows how to say Callum Mwendo's name for a start.
Yeah. Didn't he kind of say it was going to be, he was surprised by it, or they just told him that it was going to happen? He had no say.
His words were, Forest received, this is Dyche's words, too good an offer to refuse. It was the whole Elanga scenario and Callum Mwendo.
How can it be too good an offer? He's on loan.
It's just so stupid. But my point here is, if just us and the chat saw these things coming, how can these idiots at the club, and I'm not just saying Dyche, I'm saying the players and backroom staff, the owners, whatever, how can they not see these issues if us just as layman football fans can see it, and then every single one of them plays out?
Well, the answer
this is why I get
maybe the organization or the disorganization of the club is too complex. Maybe they've got too many people involved in the chain, and the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. Right? I can completely understand that, you know, the recruitment team are trying to like bring people in, get people out, etc., and you know, next thing Dyche is finding out, oh yeah, you haven't got Callum Mwendo now. So and the point is, there was a period where it was running, shall we say, smoothly at least, when it was basically Marinakis to Nuno with Ross Wilson. Right, that was simple-ish enough. There's too many people involved.
Rob, it's the same as Arsenal.
Look at the list of the list of the executive team. There's way too many people in charge.
It's all clubs, Rob. Honestly, it's the same at all clubs.
I think it's more simple than that. I think when you say there's too many people, there's too many players. I think the management these days, they're trying to please everyone. There's no old school managers. Like, you know, if Backward
doing well, Crypto, it doesn't matter. Players are willing to wait the chances for doing well.
Well, exactly. But let's say yesterday, you know, Backward comes to you and says, "Oh, I want to play tonight," and then Doy comes to you and says, "Oh, I really want to play tonight. Can I play in striker?" The manager the manager should just turn around and say, "You're fucking shit, mate."
No. Let's not go over the top.
And then he should just play. He should play the best team. He should play the
one
best.
Thing's for sure, we can't have
Tell them what the rating is on FIFA. Tell them the rating.
I tell you what, it's a good job I'm not manager after 2 liters of WKD, because we'd be signing a whole new squad. The only person keeping a place on that pitch is Nico Williams, and everyone else off to Derby, mate, because you're all fucking shit. I might keep Sells, but he's a bit crap as well this season.
Crypto, it's not true.
It is true. Why is he making 9 changes? Why is he making 9 changes?
Are you saying that Murillo is not a good football player?
Murillo is a great footballer, but he's injured. So we're not. So Milenkovic, when we play against Brentford, is going to be next to Morato. That's not going to go well, is it? Because Milenkovic only plays well when he's paired with Murillo.
Dominguez not a good football player.
Dominguez is a great football player, but that's where I would be saying MGW, when that £70 million offer came in from Spurs, goodbye. I'll pay for your fucking bus fare down to London because you're shit. You are shit. Goodbye, Morgan Gibbs-White. Goodbye, Dominguez. You're in the 3 in the middle. It's literally that simple. We can all see it, but then pussyfooting around these, oh, Morgan Gibbs-White is the highest paid player ever. Just fuck off. Just fuck off.
You know what?
That's what it needs. It needs someone to just tell them how it is. And if they're shit, if they're not consistent, then goodbye. This is Nottingham Forest. You don't even support our club. You want to play for Man United.
We'd have no players if that was the mentality. But nobody supports our club, mate. None of them do. Bloody hell.
Don't say that, Ed.
Players are getting away with murder.
Let me just catch up with the super chats. Big up Chappie with another £5. He goes, Wolfie, I'm high in Ferrers, very close to Kettering. I've never been there, and I've been down that area bare, man. Yes, up for the golf. Please make me smile and do my Dyche. Rob does it better.
I've got such a sore throat. I'll be doing it naturally by the end of the
That's the thing, man. I still haven't got my voice back, man. Thank you so much, Chappie, for the £5. Big up to Lee with the £5. He goes,
I like it.
Yeah, Dyche Bollicle has to go, but the players also have to have a hard look at themselves. Don't worry, the players are not getting away with it. We're about to come on to the players in just a second. Thank you so much for the £5. Big up to the S-Man Brownie 4561 with the 199. He goes, we've had worse seasons. Seriously, I agree we've had worse seasons, but I've never felt so disconnected, even in those dead seasons, like I do now with Forest, man.
But that's surely that's like saying, oh, I've got the shits, but thank God I've not got toothache.
Yeah, but it's not even that. It's what you're walking into. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're walking into this season from potentially should have got Champions League to we've got Europe. So we spent 200 million and now you're 17th in the league and you got this ginger prick in charge. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference for me. That's the disconnect.
Yeah.
Wait, Ben, stop pressing stuff, man. Forest Mella with the €2. He goes 200 million on players, pound shop manager to lead them. Absolutely bang on. Do you know what? We put out.
That's no disrespect to pound shop managers, by the way. They do a great job, but
that is.
No, get lost, man.
But you know what?
But they're not the head of RPI, though, are they?
No, but I love pound stretcher, man. Don't diss pound stretcher managers. Man. They do a good job.
Now, this is the point of all points I've heard from Everton fans, because I've heard this whole thing. Oh, the players are crap. The players are crap. The players are crap. What do you want him to do with crap players? Everton fans had the same scenario where everyone's saying the players are crap. The players are crap. The players are crap. Within 5 minutes of Dyche going and Moyes coming in, he sorted them out, defensively stabilized them, and got them getting points on the board as well with the same exact players. That's the thing here. Dyche has a track record for this. Like the Everton fans, man, I like them. I have to say, I really like them. They could have trolled the crap out of us. They're so sympathetic. They know our pain.
Me and Ant actually met a lot of them on our first trip down there. It was our first away trip when we got promoted. It was the day I met Ant as well. And I've got to say, every single one of the Everton fans stopped and said, it's great to see Forest back in the Premier League. They were genuine. They're genuine fans, man. They're proper fans. They've obviously been in that league longer than any other team. So they know what to expect, and they know the history of Forest. And they, but this is a poor season because of a comparison to last season. But even in its own stage, you got to think with the players, with the promise we had coming into it. But I think that's the worst thing, because we did have a lot of hope. We did spend a lot of money before the Nuno situation. We had high expectations for this season. We were talking about finishing a little bit further ahead, but doing well in Europe. I'm confident under Nuno we would have done fantastic in Europe. We would never be looking at freaking playoffs to try and get to the next stage. But actually, does anyone even want to bother with it now? Because they've not given a damn. And I think if we do go any further, we're just going to go out in the next knockout stage anyway. So I don't think
we lost to Bayern.
We would not get through a two-leg playoff. We will not get through a two-leg.
Remember when we lost to Bayern, bro? Like it was still like the away leg 2-1. Yeah, but we still had that pride with it.
Yeah,
it's not about the home.
I was seeing a lot of people earlier saying, "Oh, you can't win every match." It's not about that. If we're going to lose like we lost to Man City, where you can actually be proud of the performance, where you actually tried to win the game. Losing to Braga last night, you may as well not have gone on the pitch, or you may as well have done the FIFA trick of getting 3 red cards and abandoning the game 3-0. Because what was the point? what was the point flying there? And I feel sorry for all the fans who flew to Portugal in that crap weather to spend all that money to watch that. They must be more fuming than us.
Well, I was talking to Bruce before the game on video call. It was a monsoon there. It was a literal monsoon, bro. And I was like, there's rumors it's getting cancelled. And he's like,
also, you can't fly to Braga. You have to fly to Porto and stay in Porto, and then travel to Braga. So it's a nightmare.
I bet they wished it had been cancelled.
But you know what? The away fans are usually the most loyal and the last ones to turn, and they've turned.
Even Martin,
you're a dead man walking.
Martin's been Dyche out for months now.
Yeah, mine's Martin, in it. Anthony with the £2, he goes, host the next score live from the manager's office. As long as Sean Dyche ain't there, bro. Please do it. Shout out to you for the £2. Big up to Lee with another £5. He says, Dyche, Bartolico, and Edu have nothing to do with our youth academy. And look how well they're doing. They are doing really well. But I fear for them coming through to the top end. You know what? Some of these youth players, man, you may as well think about start blocking them.
Well.
They need to. But then do you want to expose them to Dyche? Lee is right. I wouldn't expose them to Dyche.
It's a manager, yeah.
Yeah, I'd rather loan them out. Don't expose them. But fair point, Lee. Thank you for that. Big up to my boy, Red Dog Willie, with the 41 months. Shout out to you, man. Hope you're doing well. You got David with the 16 months saying, sack Dyche. Fact. Absolute facts. And Jess with the £5. She says, if I see Gibbs-White take another penalty, you will hear me screaming across the water, she says. Oh, God. Let's talk about the players. Guys, make sure you've hit the like button. There's over 750 in here. On the poll, 83% of you want Dyche sacked. 17% of you don't. There is a community poll. I think over 1,500 have voted. It's about 67% were out. Lawless the asshole. He voted Dyche In on that. If you don't know who he is, he's the West Ham fan. And he sent me a picture of it and he got his West Ham lot to vote. So he's skewing that. I'm still going to send it to the club. So you can
Before we move on, can I just point out that Dyche was at Everton and I heard what the Everton fans said about him. They said about him exactly what we're saying about him. He left. They then got in a manager who's not renowned for being a expansive, attacking, exciting manager. But they are currently 10th, 3 points off 5th.
Yep.
So I think that tells you something about Dyche.
Yep.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, Dyche did good things for. Remember that 10-point deduction they had. Yeah.
I can't hear you.
Oh, the 10-point deduction they had.
Jump in. Gunners.
Well, sorry, the 10-point deduction they had, didn't they overcome that in like four wins in a row? So
that was Dyche's trophy. That was Dyche's trophy.
Yeah, that was it. Literally, that was his road to Wembley or whatever you want to call it. But so he has had moments. But I'll go back to I'm not bothered about now beating Liverpool and Spurs because it means nothing when you're losing to teams like Braga and we lost to. I can't even remember how the names of the teams, but they're the worst possible teams in the league. Brentford. They're like Saturday doesn't fill me with any hope whatsoever, and they've got a manager who's a rookie manager in his first season who's working absolute wonders because for whatever reason, he knows how to get players motivated. He has a system in place. Yes, he's got players who are playing out of their skin. Their striker who was injured for a whole season is he on 16 Premier League goals? No, but Igor Thiago. Sorry, yeah, Igor Thiago. He's this is technically his first season. I've created a hybrid player, and he's still better than the CO2 that we hired. But they're doing really well because he's hit the ground running. Essentially, this is the first season because he didn't play at all last season. But this is a rookie manager.
Do you know what else?
So just to finish my point. So people say that there's no one to replace Dyche. I'm sorry, there are. There's even players that managers that we haven't heard of that would be so much better.
Yeah, that's right. And also, I don't think necessarily. I'm starting to wonder if so-called experience in managers is actually a good thing because they play such an old school style of football, like passing it out long from the back and try and put in 52 crosses. I want to see something different, like it's just not working with Forest. We've got such a good squad on paper. Like the players we've got statistically are brilliant. Individually they're brilliant. They can play together well. We know internationally they play together really well. Some of them, especially people like Anderson, etc. But the tactics are not bringing this squad together, and it's so obvious to see, and how all the fans can see it, but the club can't. I don't know. It's lost on me.
You know what, Ben?
Can you hear us?
I've been pontificating on.
And can you hear us?
He was lip reading. He was lip reading.
Okay. Yeah, it went off a couple of times. I'm not sure why. And I've had people say to me, "Oh, do you think you know better than these managers then?" And I always say, yes. I've watched over 1,000 games. How many have they watched?
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Have they played 20?
And also, how many games have you been at where the entire crowd is baying for somebody to be brought on?
Yeah.
And the manager doesn't do it.
It's so obvious.
They're all wrong. All these people who've watched all this football are all wrong. And that manager's correct.
And also,
being a Premier League manager is not the be all and end all. It is financially, but it doesn't mean you've got more knowledge than other people at all.
And to back that up, if you take away the fans, for example, if people say, the fans aren't qualified, the people who are commentating on the match at halftime, ex-footballers, other ex-managers, they're saying the same as the fans. So why can they see it? Why can the fans see it, but the people on the pitch can't?
I actually enjoyed what Steve McManaman had to say on TNT. He's like, I'm not even a Forest fan, and I can't bear to watch this.
Exactly.
He was getting annoyed at how poorly we were playing.
He made it bearable, quite actually. Honestly, he was quite entertaining.
Yeah,
I was so annoyed because I watched that first match and I texted our group and said I might have to turn this off. I thought, what can I do to calm me down? I put Wolfie on, and the first thing I put Wolfie on, Wolfie's like, it's not that bad. I was like,
I know, I couldn't believe it.
Bro, what? Because I'm comparing shit to shit, okay? And there was signs there because I was looking at McAtee. I want to talk about. I thought McAtee was all right.
The only thing
it was terrible. That first half was.
And never
How many shots on target did we have in that first half?
2.
2? Are you sure?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
I don't know.
Are you sure it wasn't?
No chances, man.
Yeah, which goal?
Guessing, I can tell.
I thought Yates' goal was pretty good.
You do realize I watch Forest numb now. Do you know? I'm just numb watching Forest, man. I could be commentating on freaking, I don't know, Scunthorpe United. It's just numb at the moment. But I just want to make one final point on Dyche and we want to move on. And I think there's a few Everton fans in the chat. Big up to you guys. Can you confirm this is true? This is how pathetic his talent spotting management is. I'm pretty sure, 99% sure, when Dyche joined Everton, he wasn't playing him, and then he was playing him out of position. And he's probably one of their best players.
So that's correct.
So anyway, let's move on from there because I do want to talk about some of these players. Oh, yeah, that was it, Mark. Thank you. Gibbs-White's free kick. That's the highlight of my week, man. It was on target. He put more power in that free kick than his bloody penalty, man. Honestly.
There wasn't a lot of power in that free kick. A lot.
Yeah, that's my point.
Stationary free kicks don't count as shots on target. So stats don't lie. Stats don't lie.
Anyway, I want to talk about McAtee because contrary to popular belief, I thought he was the best player. I know, by the way, I'm not saying he was outstanding. I'm just saying he was here as opposed to all the other players there. I saw signs of life from him yesterday. I was watching Talking Reds earlier and I agreed with Raf. What Raf was saying. He could have comfortably had 2 or 3 assists in that game. If Gibbs-White wasn't such a donkey. Yeah.
People forget that.
Yeah.
When they say how many assists has he had, to have an assist, you've got to have somebody to pass the ball to for a start. And when you pass that ball to them, they've got to be capable of putting it in the back of the net. It's not all down to you, is it?
Yeah. And I thought him and Gibbs-White were linking okay in the first half down that right-hand channel. That's all I've got. But a lot of the chat was saying they thought he was crap. I get people were.
He did a beautiful bit of skill on the byline. Absolutely incredible bit of skill.
I don't think I've saw signs of life enough to say, all right, keep him. just extends the agony
He's
a
only,
little
he's only a
bit.
young boy. He's had hardly any game time. Give him a break, for goodness sake. You've seen what he can do.
Under a new manager.
Do
Do it under a new manager, man. Give them all a break. We could do it under a new manager.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Oh yeah.
You know?
But Rob, what did you make of McAtee? Any signs of life for you?
So, I didn't realise that he'd put in the pass that Gibbs-White skied over the bar. I can't say that he stood out for me, but honestly, I just had a kind of red mist from about 10 minutes in. So I wasn't really, I don't think anybody had a good game, I'm afraid to say. It just, everything was bad. Look, what I would say is I don't want to give up on him, but my problem with McAtee has always been that he's effectively on loan. If he's a success, he gets bought back by Man City. And if he's a failure, he's got a problem.
He does this every time.
He does, yeah.
It's true, though. It's true.
But
You don't
but
buy
they don't get him
people
back.
with a
They don't
buyback
get him back
clause.
for free. They don't get him back, and if it's a success, that means that he's been a success
He's
for
done well,
Forest.
yeah.
And
they
then it
can
means
only
we
have,
depend on him.
hang on, Rob. They can only have him back when we want to sell him. They can't demand him back.
I don't know. It depends what's in the contract. Depends what's in the contract.
Well, I've never ever heard of that ever in all my 170 years of experience.
I think it might be first refusal. There's a lot of first refusal.
These are the people that negotiated.
As soon as we sell him, they have first refusal at a certain price.
Yeah, these are the people that negotiated that contract that Morgan Gibbs-White had that allowed Daniel Levy to bid exactly 60 million on a specific day, right? So I've low confidence.
Did it, Rob?
Yeah, well, I've low confidence in the look. It just bugs me where, you know, if someone's a success, he goes back to the parent club.
Yeah, but
and
I
if
just explained
someone's
to you,
not a
Rob.
success,
Only
he's
if
stuck
we
with
want to sell him.
It feels more like a loan with an obligation to buy.
All right. Can we forget the politics of it? Like, I'm more interested in the point. By the way, sorry, I've got to shout out Steph. She grabbed us 5 coffees. She says, I've been a huge Yates fan and I lost a ton of respect to him after that interview. Steph, I wasn't a huge Yates fan, and any respect I had left for him well and truly went with that interview. It really did. Thank you for the coffees there, Steph.
Thank you.
Sorry, can we just talk about them as a player? Forget the politics, forget the loanness, the whatever. Like, I've been a signs of life in him. I do. I'm grabbing onto anything. I'm in a dark place right now. One completed pass is the next Zidane for me right now.
We're pathetic if that's the case. We are even more
Well,
pathetic.
that's where I am. I can't lie.
Well,
that's where I am.
It was pathetic, as it was last night.
No one stood out for me. I literally stopped watching the screen. It was just playing in the background, man, because there was nothing that excited me from that. I could see that we were just being given the ball. They were going to sit behind the ball, and like I said, eventually we'll make a mistake that will give them a chance, and that's exactly what happened. We put it in our own bloody net, you know. So I wasn't really paying attention. So if he did do anything good, I missed it, mate. I blinked and I missed it. So yeah, nothing for me.
Living up to name half time.
It wasn't like an outstanding performance where you talk.
No, I know. That's I know where it's coming from. I know we're clutching at straws, but bloody hell, we've got to have a straw to clutch at.
And saying what I've been trying to say since yesterday, I'm not saying he had a man of the match performance that took us over the line, but I saw some nice touches, nice passes. Should have got a couple of assists in there.
Maybe that's what he's done.
He did win the penalty.
Okay. Let's compare his performance to Backward then. Let's do the Backward thing because Backward was probably the worst player on that pitch by a country freaking mile. That guy looks shot of not just confidence, but an understanding of the shape of a football. Like, I don't think he knows what he's doing.
I think it was Mark Manaman again who said, he says, I don't know what's happened to him. He says, I saw him a few times in the French league last year and he was ripping defences apart. This is not the same guy.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's doing. He doesn't know what to do with the ball. That's
Dyche. Do you know who
Dyche
reminds me a bit of, though? Sangare in his first season, where we stayed faithful. We knew he was good. We knew he would come through, but everybody hated him. And I feel like that's the same Backward. And I think he wasn't good. because now people are saying Sangare is one of our best players, but they weren't saying that, last season.
So Crypto, you're sticking with Bakwa, yeah? And Ant is, and I think Wolfie is.
I'd definitely stick with him. I think we've seen his potential. He could, in theory, I guess you could argue the same for McAtee. The only thing with McAtee is he's played quite a few games now, and he might have been a 4 out of 10 yesterday, but every other game he's been like a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, but it's like Ed said, I give all these players another go under a different manager. Well, except for Morato, I don't think he's got.
But I think
exactly.
I think McAtee might be psychologically gone because he doesn't get picked. I think he wants to play regular football.
Of course he does.
He's not showing anything when he's been given really good opportunities.
Yeah, but if he's zoned out,
starting the game in central midfield is a really good opportunity.
Yeah, but if he's got that, he's not going to play in the Premier League.
You're right, Ez, but you got to look at who he's playing with as well. If the players around him are not doing it, 100%, then it makes it difficult because you're not receiving the ball. There's nobody making runs for you.
Yeah, but it's also the body language, and the body language has always been.
Yeah, I agree. He looks. I agree, but that maybe a new manager change that though, Ez.
I'm sure it would.
So I would. I kind of am in the middle of this between what Ez said and Ant said. Because of what I've seen of Bakwa, that was the player that excited me the most in the summer, man. I've been dying to see a dribbler take on defenders, at Forest on the wing, a tricky winger and what have you. I was like, this is the guy.
I wanted the one you gassed up the most. That's what
I wanted Akliush. Akliush should still be on one choice, but then this guy is a couple of levels below Akliush in the French league. He comes here, he's still going freaking backwards, man. I don't understand it. And he looks so lightweight in the challenges. His passing was horrific. I prefer him on the right.
Yeah. But you don't know what's happening in training because he might not be.
Dyche commented on that. I can tell you what's happening in training, by the way. I got told in training, all they do is play football matches. There's no coaching, there's no drilling or anything else. And all the players
thinks he's Brian Clough, doesn't he? He really thinks he's Brian Clough.
The thing with Bakwa is he needs to have time to develop a relationship with someone like either Nico Williams or Aina, in the same way that Alanga and Aina used to be, or was it Cho and Aina? They always had that bond. So you have your wing back and you have your winger, and they can work so well together. In the same way that two of my favorite players ever, Assombalonga and Antonio, a partnership like that. Build something like that.
It was good for his era, man.
I know.
Antonio and Assombalonga was the most exciting football.
It probably was. It probably was.
But Bakwa, he doesn't look like he's kind of fitting in the squad. I think individually he's a very good player, and I hope we keep him. But we need a change of manager. We need a different type of coaching system. Someone who will allow them to go forward, not backwards.
You know what? What really gets
5 months ago, right?
You know what really gets to me? Go on.
No, I was just going to bring in Morato into this conversation because there was a comment in the chat here. Where is it? So it says from Dave here. He says only 11 wins since the 7-0 Brighton thrashing. Who's to blame? That, by the way, I think, if I'm not mistaken, happened this time next week last year. Does that make sense? What I just said?
Next week last year.
Yeah. Actually, it wasn't this time because it was an early one, wasn't it? But from then to now, and to see the decline in players, like Rob, you used to text me every single game when we were 1-0 up. It could be 1 minute in, it could be 80 minutes in. Get Morato on. And now, what interested me in what you just said was,
get Morato off.
Yeah. Things were different then. We've already said how Nuno would start his strongest team. He'd start the same team every week. He'd get 1-0 up. And then once Morato came on and we'd have 3 central defenders, but things were different then in that Morato was playing 15, 20 minutes a game. He was playing as part of a back 3. He was playing as part of a defence that was cohesive. He knew what his job was. Just get in there, see the game out. You're an extra body. There's a big difference from that to being picked as a starter in the Premier League when you've got no Aina, or you've got, you've got John Victor behind you or stuff like that. I think his confidence is shot, but also
it's just crap.
The more I see of him, the more clumsy I think he is. And I honestly think, for me, I've said it before, he's a Brazilian Joe Worrell, in which case, just get Joe Worrell back.
Yes, yeah, Joe Worrell.
Rob, what you got to remember is when he used to come on before, he used to come on with Murillo and Milenkovic.
Yeah.
When he replaces one of them, you see his weaknesses far more.
Yeah.
And the turning point for that was, I think it was the Man City game away, where Murillo came off injured. And that's the first time we saw Morata come on in a 2. And struggled. He really struggled. And so when we've seen him in a 2, I think, and sort of starting games, his concentration is a problem. And he doesn't really command the penalty area as good as he should be in the air. He relies on Milenkovic winning every single header, and we saw that goal where he conceded, where he let the ball bounce over him, and he got caught out.
There's defenders we've let go, like Omar Bamadeli and Niakate, who I would prefer to have back.
Luke Bardet.
Yeah, I would prefer to have them back rather than Morata.
Still hurts you, don't it, that one?
It really does, bro. He was linked to Barca the other transfer window, man. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what else. What else hurts. Now, I know there are circumstances like wages and attraction of the club, but it still breaks my heart every time I think of how much Ndoye costs, Bakwa, McAtee, and then I look at Ryan Turkey at 29 million. It's like, what?
Forget that, man. Danilo is getting glazed up over where did he go? Was it Corinthians or Botafogo? He's even got a full ponytail now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. He's got
it didn't happen.
It comes as no surprise. Why would it come as any surprise? He is a fantastic football player.
Well,
and we should not have sold him. We should not have sold him.
The biggest problem, though,
if anyone's responsible for that, he can F off right now.
the biggest problem is not really our defence, is it? The biggest problem is we can't score a goal. We can't score a goal against a Farmers League club. We can't score we can't score a penalty. We can score an own goal. We're good at scoring own goals.
Can we use some of our remaining time to talk about incoming strikers?
Let me just finish quickly. We can't score in the box. We can't score from out of the box. We can't score a penalty. We don't have a recognised striker because our recognised striker's injured. Yes, we've just signed someone, but we don't know how that's going to go. The only thing we're good at the moment is scoring in our own goal. So what really needs to happen is we need to find someone who can score a goal, because I think statistically, are we the second lowest scoring goal in the whole?
Yeah, we've got 21 goals.
You've raised an important point there. You've raised an important point. How many own goals is that in the last 10 games?
It's a lot. It's a lot of own goals. We've had
Milenkovic at Everton. We've had Murillo at West Ham.
35 against Burnley.
Yeah.
We actually scored more own goals than we've scored from open play in the last 5 or 6 games.
Oh, geez, baby. Oh, geez.
Probably. But let's segue that into the striker.
Why didn't we just stick Savona up front yesterday? Bring on another attacker. We should have just followed him, mate. We should have just attacked him and put anybody.
Greg Alford, shove him up.
Let's get Sam Surridge back. Sam Surridge scored 35 goals.
You know what's crazy? Sam Surridge
would have had a field day.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, he walks into that team yesterday. All right, just before we talk about Lucca,
greatest striker ever to leave Nottingham.
All right, just before we talk about Lucca, let me catch up with the super chats. Big up to you guys. DS Man, 1 month membership is up. You absolute legend. Thank you so much, buddy. And he's backed it up with a super chat with the 199. He goes, shit's over toothache. Definitely. That's what's on. Shout out to you. Big up to the main man, Stephen, with 34 months. It's crazy how long some of you guys have been members. You guys are absolute legends. Thank you so much, Stephen. Big up to Michael with the £1 super sticker. And then not only has she grabbed coffees, but she's also chucked $5 in. She goes, we need cash from Cash Talks Football to manage.
Just wasted $5. What are you talking about?
If we're at cash level, big up to Cash, bro. But hey, we're really in the mud.
It's our cash, isn't it? Cash Talks
Football.
Never heard of it. And I watch a lot of you.
Man, you've had a conversation with it.
I know he's trolling. He's doing what you do.
Thank you, Steph. And Steph with the 22 months as well. Guys, make sure you hit the like button. Still 700 of you in here. let's see if we can make this a little positive. Lucca. So it's been confirmed by the club. There's been some statements from Ansboy Edu on it as well, where he's bigging up the Lucca signing. I'll bring the statement up. I haven't got it to hand. I'm just so not inspired by it. But
so is Edu taking credit for this already?
Edu taking credit
Okay.
for it,
So
yeah.
okay.
You can also, by the way, win a signed Lucca shirt. As you know, the club doing the club things. At the
And more
moment,
than likely, we'll probably get his first interview before the club do. It usually works.
I have no interest in interviewing.
When we sign the strike, hey, does it sound a bit weird because they never actually did an interview with Jesus? I think we got so money.
They did. They waited for the preseason tour. They did one like a 2-minute one.
They slipped one out. Yeah. It was more of an Instagram thing, wasn't it? Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about Lucas. So he's signed till the end of the season on a 1 million loan deal. There is an option to buy for 35 million euros. He's 6'7". He scored 1 goal this season. Now that is skewed. It's in 16 matches, but most of them were like sub appearances. Doesn't get into Napoli behind the likes of Rasmus Højlund. I think Lukaku's still there. Yeah, and he's got the most goals last season with headers in Serie A, if I remember rightly. Or what I can tell you, he used to be a wonder kid on Football Manager. I don't know if that may get crypto excited. Maybe Mark.
It's probably got Sean Dyche excited, to be honest.
Sean Dyche is the only excited one by it. I don't know. I'm not writing him off for anything. I'll wait to see what he does. But over to you, boys.
Oh my God, his potential 76. I'd get rid of him. I'd sell him.
Well,
can he play on Sunday? So let me cover that. I believe. Sorry, let me just add that. I believe they registered him just in time. Last I heard, Forest were like 20 minutes away from the deadline, and I think they got it in time. I can't fully confirm yet, but yeah, I believe he is registered. Sorry, go on.
When I first heard we were going for a 6'7" striker, my reaction was very, very negative. I just thought, well, this is just a Dyche signing, and we don't want Dyche. However, I've heard a bit more about him since, and evidently he's very highly rated. I think he's played for Italy, hasn't he? A few times.
Yeah, he's had call-ups. Yeah, I think he's made a few.
Yeah, it's the Italy team that struggled to qualify for World Cups and Euros.
Yeah. But at Napoli, he just doesn't fit in with is it Conte at Napoli? Is it Conte at Napoli?
Yeah.
I think it is. Anyway, whether it's Conte or not, he just doesn't fit in. But he is highly rated, evidently. I don't know anything about him apart from his.
Wait, who's telling you he's highly rated?
On another podcast, I saw an Italian expert. Yeah, I saw an Italian expert talk about it. Now, he was raving about him. Absolutely. He says Forest cannot go wrong. His technical ability is sky high. He's very good with his feet. Archetypal, good feet for a big man. He brings other players into it. Right?
Is this what the translation said?
GPT said.
Hey, like the spaghetti,
He was English.
Like spaghetti.
It was English.
Carry on.
But he also glazed up Endoy.
Oh no!
And he was basically glazing anybody with a relationship with Forest. So I'm not, and he wasn't a Forest fan, but his brother was. But that's all I know about.
Is this that dude that goes on Forest Focus, the commentator guy?
If you just name the other podcast.
Well, we ain't got beef from Matt. What are you talking about? Me and Matt get on really well.
Yeah, Forest Focus. Great. No, he was on Forest Focus.
You don't name the other
Is it that Summerton or whatever his name was?
No, it's not him. It's not. No, listen to me. It's not a commentator.
Okay.
He's a guy that's lived in Italy for quite a time, and he's been following Italian football since he was a baby and all this lot.
I'll tell you who I do have beef with right now. Chris, you're this close, Chris. This close.
Yeah,
this close
to you last night.
This close to what? What is Chris this close?
Me killing him, man. I don't know how Matt puts up with them.
You could be dragged off, mate, for hate speech.
Bro, Chris, me and you in the car park, man. If you carry on like you did last night. Anyway,
Yeah.
Chris is insane. I love the guy. I absolutely love him, but he is insane. He's still. He won't let
I
Dyche
was
go.
ready to strangle him. I had to put my phone down, man. I was gonna kill him. I
can't believe what I woke up to.
That conversation, it went on to about 2 o'clock in the morning, didn't it?
Yeah, I left one comment saying he's got a shit tash because I'm pissed off with what he said. And then I woke up in the morning, there was about 40 messages.
He could be so much. But anyway, back to Lucca.
Can I chip in on Lucca?
Go on,
Obviously, the immediate reaction everyone's going to make is, oh, well, he's been signed for this manager. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, I guess he's still the manager. So if he's playing Sunday, I at least have some hopes. Listen, what I want is a striker that opposition teams and fans are going to be scared of, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I used to remember, like, I've just checked how big they both were, but, like, whenever we were playing, like, Man City and they had Niall Quinn, or Everton, they had Duncan Ferguson, like, big strikers are frightening, right? I'm afraid to say that Igor Jesus is not frightening.
Maybe I'll go up front, Rob. Shall I go up front?
Well, I'm talking about big, tall. Not anyway.
He's big and tall.
But I have actually watched the YouTube.
You mean not fat, don't you? That's what you're trying to say.
I've watched the YouTube of all my voice is going. I've watched the YouTube of all of his goals from last season. Does seem to be very good with headers, but I think he's also a bit of a self-starter. Well, that's my hope for it, because remember when we were looking at Eddie Nketiah and it was always like,
I'm like Dyche right
now. Serious point. Remember when we were looking at Eddie Nketiah? It was all about, like, these are the things that he needs in order to be successful, and he needs a team that does this, and he needs a team that does that. To be honest, from what I've seen of Lucca, he can do quite a lot of it just by himself. So he's a beast.
He can cross it to himself, man. That's impressive.
But I mean, he will have no shortage of crosses. We know that. So
that's cool.
But I hope he's one of two strikers to come in, quite honestly, because we've had one going out, and quite honestly, Taiwo should retire. So and we've got one injured. So just signing one is not enough. But so hopefully he's not putting all our eggs in one basket. West Ham have signed 2 strikers. Just putting that out there.
We've already started.
I agree. We need 2 strikers.
We should have bought Mallon from Aston Villa.
Oh, you shut up about Mallon, man. He's rubbish.
He's well good, and he scored. Fuck him.
He's rubbish, man.
Exactly. Jeff knows.
You know the thing with Lucca, it's not so much I got anything against him. I've just got everything against Dyche. And I don't know how to explain it. Lucca being signed has confirmed to me that all the crap we've seen over the last 2 months or whatever it's been, we're about to continue to see on. So this whole narrative that winds me up so much when people said, give Dyche, this is going to be his best squad ever. He's always said that give him attacking footballers and quality footballers, and he won't play low block, all right? We just signed a 6'7" fucking lamppost, man. So what quality football are we expecting?
Right. Well,
we need to give him a chance, don't we?
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not about Lucca, it's about Dyche.
Just because he's been signed for Dyche. Just because he's been signed for Dyche, that doesn't mean that you should be against him because you don't like Dyche.
No, that's exactly what I'm not saying.
I just want to say one thing on the Dyche situation, right? I view him as a kind of caretaker manager, okay? Now, that we know that there are 1 or 2 good managers out of a job right now. Maresca being one example, okay? Mm-hmm. But we also know that there's going to be 1 or 2 very good managers coming out of a job soon, including potentially Glasner, Marco Silva at the end of the season. So what my feeling is that in signing a striker for Dyche, what the club have done is they've kind of confirmed my thoughts, which is that he is a caretaker manager until the end of the season, nothing more. And, this is a loan player. who's almost being signed for a loan manager, if you like. And what I want to do is I want to get to the end of the season, and I think everybody's in this mentality now, get to the end of the season, be above that dotted line, and then I want us to have a bit of a clear out of not just playing staff, but managerial staff as well, and then have our pick of all of these managers. Yeah. And I think that this is probably where Marinakis is as well at the moment. I do not see another change being made unless we slip into the bottom three. Now, that said, we are now only 5 points clear of West Ham, and that could very quickly turn around. Okay. But
there he goes again. Another 13 points out next week.
Yeah, well, all right. But look at what West Ham did last week.
Beat to Brentford is 2 points.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but that doesn't mean they're going to get 13 points out of 6 games, does it?
No, I know. Well, we can only hope. But what I'm saying is I can see why they have signed a Dyche type striker. And but it doesn't mean that just because they've got someone on loan who is a Dyche type striker, it does not mean that they're going to keep Sean Dyche any longer than is necessary. I can almost see, literally, as soon as we get mathematically safe, even if it's before the end of the season, him going like 5 minutes after that's confirmed.
No, I highly doubt the thought process was that Dyche, when they signed him, was a temporary manager, because they brought in Ange Postecoglou, who is an awful manager, purely based on winning the Europa League. Right. So I highly doubt they then thought, I know, let's give up on the Europa League, let's give up on the Premier League, and let's just bring in a relegation type manager who will keep us in the league. Marinakis talks about all this ambition. I think they wanted him because I think they thought he could do something proper. I highly doubt they just threw in the towel and thought, because then you may as well just bring back a temporary manager like a Gary of Brazil or something. Why give Dyche a big contract like that?
The only thing I will add in the positive,
but it wasn't the right fit.
I don't know if it's positive or negative, but I'm pretty sure I remember doing a video on Lucca last summer. So Forest were after him before the whole Dyche prick was in charge anyway. So I think this one was being looked at as a Chris Wood replacement, in essence.
Yeah, I think a
while ago. So
similar to Chris Wood.
Yeah. I mean, I'll spin the narrative for my agenda that it's a Dyche signing, but realistically, if I'm being objective and not angry, I actually think this is a club signing.
Can I inject a note of I'm grasping at straws here. Positivity into the situation.
Try.
West Ham are at home to Sunderland on Saturday at 12:30. All Sunderland's players are back from AFCON, so that should help Sunderland perform.
Come on, the Black
Sunderland, and they've got all their players, are a pretty decent side, I would say.
Yeah, I know, but
that's it. That's all I've got for you.
Yeah, but then Spurs fucked us, didn't they? So.
Oh, it's on the camera, man.
All right. Brentford's quick score predictions, boys. Ben, what are you saying about Brentford? Any hope? Chat, get your score predictions in. On the poll, though, I put a poll. Are you excited by Lucca? 48% of you are, 52% of you are not. So he's quite split in the chat right now. I would say, and what I said in the videos and what the boys said today, give him a few games. Let's see. Let's judge him in the Forest shirt. But go on, Ben. Brentford, what are you thinking?
Is Lucca?
I'm 99% sure he is in. Yeah.
I think if Lucca plays, I'm going striker bounce 1-1. If Lucca doesn't play, I'm just going to go 1-0 Brentford.
Okay. And
well, first of all, some good news. I've sorted my sound problem out.
Just did time, man.
It was I had Bluetooth on my phone, and it kept switching from my speaker to my phone.
What was that Bluetooth?
It's difficult because obviously hopefully we'll be playing the first team who are not bad. I'm going to say 1-0 to Brentford, purely because I was going to go 1-0, but I just can't see. I can't see it scoring.
Yeah,
maybe Lucca will play and do something.
Even with Lucca Crouch up front.
Yeah, but listen, last night's really knocked me down quite a bit. It's hard for me to get enthused by anything Forest are doing right now. So I'm going to stick with 1-0. It doesn't matter what I say anyway. It makes no difference.
It never does, mate.
I know. I know. That's what I always say.
Oh my God, some people
Who
going
cares?
5-0 4-1 Brentford, man. What are you saying, Rob?
Well, obviously last night was a calamity, and the problem is when your player morale takes a battering like that, there's a big chance that a calamity will be followed by another calamity. In fact, it's probably the most likely outcome, but I'm going to try and be positive and say that, well, as Dyche would say, we need a reaction. So let's hopefully we get a reaction. We are boosted by bringing in a new target man. I get a feeling 1-1, like Crypto says. I mean, honestly, was a 1-1 at Brentford worth sacrificing the Europa League for? I don't know. But my God, if we lose that game, he's in trouble and we're in trouble.
He better get sacked and style on the damn pitch, man. Full time.
So, look, I don't want to go into it, but if you look at purely at numbers, we've got 4 points from the last 2 league games. Okay. I'm not putting any more into it than that. So what I'm saying is a draw would be satisfactory. Yeah.
It would be.
A defeat after I don't know. It would put things borderline, but I honestly think I don't think they would sack him unless we're in the bottom 3, and then they'll panic.
I think
I agree with you, Rob. Because normally when a manager's on this kind of run or whatever you want to call it, I know, but like you say, he's got 4 points out of the last 2 games, so that kind of clouds the issue. But most of the time, you hear rumours about, he's in trouble, or all the top brass aren't happy. Yeah, nothing about that at Forest. Nothing.
The
but
thing
remember,
is,
Marinakis has got stuff going on. So.
I think as well, I don't think with Dyche now, it's not just about the result. Like, if Brentford are winning 1-0 for 90 minutes and then one of their players accidentally sticks it in their own goal and we get a 1-1 draw, but we've had no shots on target and no corners, then that's not acceptable. The players have got to prove that they want to try and win the game, because it genuinely looks like we don't want to try and win the game. That's what it looks like.
They're not playing for it.
But look at the last game, right? We had our full team out pretty much. And most people, not the last game, the last Premier League game, most people were pretty pleased with that performance. So let's base it on those players rather than those individuals last night.
We didn't attack, did we?
They step up against Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City, because we've said this before. I think they want to be sold.
I get that. Yeah,
I think they want to be sold. They don't want to be sold to Brentford. They don't want to go to a club which has been built in the car park of Volkswagen Brentford. And I know it was a car park of Volkswagen Brentford because it stopped me getting to work for about 4 years because of that stupid stadium. So
Lego.
Exactly. So
4 years.
I actually lived in London for 8.5 years, but the stadium took about 4 years to build. It took ages.
That took 4 years.
Yeah, it took ages.
Yeah.
I thought 4 weeks was pushing it.
No, it took ages. It took absolutely ages.
Well, it's taken us 25 years to build some shipping containers, so don't...
Well, yeah, it's taken us 25 years without permissions.
Exactly.
Big up Joe Linton with the 4 months. He goes, Rob speaks sense.
Oh,
Joe Linton's a Geordie, a Newcastle fan. Shout out to you. Big up to Mr. Beard, Sharky, with the 41 months. And he's backed that up with a £2 super chat saying that sandpaper hurt.
We can't explain that joke.
I do that for fun, mate. So I don't know what you're talking about.
On that note, I'm going to send you over to West Ham Fan TV, maybe to cheer you guys up, because they're not in the greatest of moods. Well, they think they are in a good mood. So if you want to get the lowdown on how they will perform, because that's going to be
in a good mood.
They beat Spurs. Spurs. So go and say, just type in there, Nuno in their chat. Let them know we sent you. I'll be back with a preview tomorrow morning for the Brentford game. And make sure you've liked, make sure you subscribed. Come on, you Reds.
You Reds.